back in the sense that I was, when I was a year old, I contracted polio. And so I was therefore destined never to become the football captain of the team. And I perhaps thought I should have been in life, but I never had the speed nor the polio victim for that. And when I was at the age of 2, when I should have been kind of getting ready to run and jump and do a lot of talking and stuff, I also found out I stuttered quite badly. And so my only grade A I ever got in high school English was written right in a limerick that said, there once was a boy named Jim who was full of vigor and vim, who limped when he walked and stuttered when he talked, that little boy named Jim. And so I grew up with this handicap in a sense that I wanted to feel sorry for myself because I couldn't be the football captain, and I found out I was embarrassed to speak sometimes because I stuttered, and so I was kind of wanted to have a reason to not be successful in life, but my mother and dad never let me think about that. They never treated me differently. They made me still go out and do the work and get in the coops and feed the chickens and gather the eggs and learn how to count and do all kinds of things that I probably would have wanted to have some more sympathy and feel sorry for myself along the way, but they never let me do that. And so between having something to overcome and then having parents that wouldn't let me act like a loser, and then giving me the opportunity to see how you go out and take advantage of opportunities in life, I kind of grew up with the idea that in spite of my problems, I still had every opportunity to be successful if I would take advantage of them.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so it wasn't necessarily super easy for you.
No, it wasn't.
Like you said, you did grow up with polio. You did grow up with a stutter. And for a lot of kids that have those type of problems, it does cripple them emotionally a little bit, if not a lot.
And then in addition to that, I only had one brother, no sisters, and he was a super achieving guy. I mean, he was Mr. Everything. He wrestled and played football and was student body president of junior high and senior high and valedictorian, went on to school to go to the UTA school and was within the top percent of his class and went to med school and became a doctor, and all of this I was comparing myself with and trying to compete with this genius that was doing everything right, and here I came along limping, stuttering along behind, and yet deep down that was kind of a driver to me as well, because I wanted the teachers to think I wasn't competing. I didn't think about that, but deep down I had a great desire to try to find a way to compete with my brother, who was so successful in most of the things that I wanted to be successful in too. I did find, and because of that, I mean, I wasn't the football captain and I didn't wrestle and so on, but I was the junior high student body president too, and I was the senior high student body president as well. And I wasn't the valedictorian, but I was on the honor roll. And so I found myself denying the fact that I was in competition, but working quite deeply, trying to live up to what my mom and dad thought I could be and trying to be what my brother was. So it was pretty good drivers in my life to get me out of the doldrums of mediocrity. I was surrounded by people who wouldn't let me live in that world very long.
Interesting. That's great you had all that support. And I mean, you see that in brotherhoods all the time. In fact, with me and my brother, we compete on all kinds of levels. But what I do want to ask you is, where did that lead you to after high school? When did you start your first business, and what was it?
Let me kind of interject there to say that I was kind of, I ran away to a Gentile school, the University of Utah, to go to school for a year, to kind of try to hide from my folks and everybody, because they all thought I should go on a mission, and I was kind of not sure I could compete in that real world and be a good missionary. So I was kind of hiding away in a sense, but luckily I came home long enough for one of my mentors, a mentor that I think is Marion Tree was the high school principal and in my ward, and a good friend, and he took me aside one day in a class, in a preach-quorum class, and taught a lesson strictly for me. I walked the door from the school for the weekend, And he taught me about a scripture that says, I, the Lord, am bound, and you do what I say. And then he turned me, and as he walked me out of this class that day, he said, Jim, did you know who that lesson was for? And I said, well, that was for me, wasn't it? He said, yes. He said, you got a problem, and you're trying to run away from it. And as long as you run away from it, you can't be blessed. You think you can't speak very well, and you have these other problems, and you're trying to run away from your problem. And he walked me right to the bishop's office, where we picked up the papers to fill out our papers on a mission. And 3 months later, I found myself out of school and finished school the semester in the old mission home at downtown Salt Lake, and on my way to Scotland on a mission, where it really changed my life dramatically. I still stuttered, but luckily, I don't know how far to tell you the story of how I was introduced to I went to an area of my mission where I stuttered badly, and I thought I was going to fail, and I couldn't say the words, and into my life came a young man from England who had been studying to be a Catholic priest, who had joined the church, and he was now a great communicator, and he was sent out to our zone just a couple of days after I got there. And my mission president didn't know I had a problem. We'd only had one interview, or just yes or no questions. He didn't know I had a problem, but 2 days after transfers, he sent this missionary into our area who was opportunity to go anywhere in Scotland and speak on Sunday. And he called up on the Saturday night of that first time I was there and invited his companion to work with my companion on Sunday, and for me to go with him and go to these 3 wards to speak. And he did. And on the way to those next day, he said, "You're going to speak too." And I said, "No, I don't want to do it," but I did, and I stuttered through it badly. And he did that for the next several months. And finally, one day, remember the verse, "I, the Lord, am bound when you do what I say." I'm now doing what he said. And one day, after several months of being embarrassed by him being the best speaker in the mission and me being the worst, one day I gave a talk that didn't have any real bad stuttering through it, stammering through it. And I remember an old guy coming up to me in this rented hall in Dumbarton, Scotland, and told me what a great job I'd done. And it changed my life. It changed my life. And I know you got more questions, but let me just finish that now. Then David B. Haight came to my mission as a very successful Palo Alto mayor and successful businessman who then changed my life because I got to watch him. I got to watch him for 18 months of my mission, where I got to observe him and watch how successful business people work and operate. And then on the end of the day on a boat 2 weeks before I went home on my mission, we're on a river cruise with the members of the church, and he took me aside and said, "Jim, you're going home. And go home and do these things." And he gave me a formula. He gave me the formula for success and happiness. And he basically taught me with what was his words and J. Paul Getty's words were theoretically down to five steps plus a winner. Get up early, work hard, get your education, get your training, get your education. Why? Because in the process of us reading and studying and going to school, you'll find your oil, a J. Paul Getty phrase. You'll find your oil. You'll find what you're good at. If you find what you're good at, then go out and make your mark with it. Number 5, and make your mark, meaning go out and do something with it. Be the best at it. And then he said to us, he said, "Now, but the purpose of all that is so you'll have something to give back and help other folks." And I internalized that and memorized that. Went home and started knocking on doors at BYU because I needed a woman in my life, and I'd knock on those doors and say to them, "I'm here home, my mission, this is who I am, and I know behind that door there's 8 girls in there, and one of them's gonna marry me, and I need a woman." And
wait a second, hold on, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but you went from door, is this a literal story?
Kinda, yeah, it's a little story. And it didn't happen quite that way, but my wife doesn't want me to tell it the way it really happened. But it literally, I convinced this beautiful Dixie chick from St. George that I wasn't much to look at, and I had a limp, and I had all these other problems in life, and and I wasn't much to have. It wouldn't be much, but I had a formula, and I was going to make it in life. And if she'd take a chance on me, we were going to win. And finally, this beautiful girl from St. George finally took a chance and said, "Yes, I'll take a chance." And 8 children and 40 grandchildren later, we're still trying to share that formula with our children and our family and the world. So,
wow.
Anyway.
Well, I would say chance well taken.
So anyway, then you ask about my entrepreneurial. So then with that in mind,
I may like to take it like this. I want to go over the formula again because, I mean, there are a lot of people that learn this stuff from you in business school, but I do want to reiterate what you said. So the formula is step number 1: get up early. Why get up early?
Those people who win in life are ahead of the game. I mean, you don't, and at 7 o'clock arrival. Getting out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning, every one of your competitors have been out of bed for hours, and so you just can't do it if you're going to be the last man out of bed. I mean, you got it. The morning hours are when the Lord said you should be out there early the next morning. It says in the Bible many times, early the next morning. All the winners leave to go after it, and then once you do that, so now you got a head start. Now you got to go to work. You got to work hard. There's no free lunch. You got to earn it. You got to earn. So those are 2 real principles that I learned in the mission field. Then on my farm at home, I learned those. And then the third thing he said, is get trained, get your education, read the right books, go to the right schools, do the right stuff, but start gathering information, because in the process of that, you'll discover step number 4 is, J. Paul Getty said it best, you'll find your oil, find what you're good at. Because if you find what you're good at, then you'll have passion for it, and you'll become good at it because you love it, you like it, because you got talent. If you don't, you find yourself stuck in a mediocrity plan of life where you're doing something you may not want to do, but it's all you got. And so you'll lose passion, you'll lose drive, and you'll never be the best at it. So get your, find your oil so you can go make your mark, go out and do something with it, become really good at it. And then, of course, the real key to happiness was learn how to give away, help other people be successful too. That's what makes you happy. So anyway, we came home. We came home and got this woman, finished my education, did a little graduate work, and then we went to work. We went home to Heber, where I'd grown up, and took this little piece of ground my dad let me borrow on, and we built a feed mill. And
now, how old were you at the time?
Yeah, I'm now 23.
Okay. And, with a degree?
With a degree.
In what?
And I had an accounting degree and a chemistry minor.
Okay.
Actually, while I was building this first feed mill to get it going, I had to have income to eat. And so I volunteered and then got hired to teach high school for 1 year. So I taught chemistry and physics and algebra 2 and trigonometry and geometry and dumbbell math. 6 preparation, delivered newspapers in the morning before I went to school, and went to school till 2 o'clock, and then went out and kept building this feed mill, which is my first project. And by the time the first school year was over, we had the feed mill operating, so now I had an enterprise I could operate with. So now I'm 24, 25, whatever, and we built the feed mill and get it going. And then we saw an ad in the newspaper that talked about a Sears catalog store, become a Sears merchant for that. And so I went, got it, and got hired to do it. So I added on some brick on the top in front of my feed mill and put a Sears catalog store in there.
Sears now this is obviously not a full-blown Sears as we know it today.
No, it's just a catalog merchant store.
Which would be just like a little shop you'd set up?
Yeah, they just put in a few washers and dryers and refrigerators, and you sell stuff out of the catalog.
Wow.
Just deliver and they come pick it up. So it's a little merchant dealership, and you get a commission for selling the stuff. And so I had then a feed mill and a catalog store, and then one day a man came up who owned the property right in front of me, which had been a Ford dealership. They'd moved across the street, and he said to me, and I'm filling up inventory. I got a feed mill now. I got big feed mill bins.
You're busy.
Well, I'm busy, and I got draining every capital I get. I'm trying to build inventory with binfuls of corn and barley and rice and everything else in life, and accounts receivable, and I started with nothing. I didn't have any capital to start that with. So
I want to ask you about that, because a huge question we get is, Where do I get money to start a business?
I got an SBA loan to start the feed mill.
What does SBA stand for?
Small Business Administration Loan.
Okay.
And that's how I got started. And then I was, like I say, building this inventory and accounts receivable. So I had very limited cash, but this man came up, a good friend of mine, who owned the building. Now it's empty in front of me. It's on Main Street in front of my feed mill. And it's empty and he said, I need $400 to make the payment on that building because I've now lost them. They've moved across the street. And I didn't have 400 really either, but I probably did, but I was fighting for cash flow. But I said to myself overnight, I ought to own that building. And so I went and made a deal with him to lease that building for $400 a month with an option to buy it. And for $45,000 and a 7% interest, and all my lease money would convert to a purchase when I did. I had a couple of years to do that. So I now had a building that would used to be a car dealership. And so I moved the Sears catalog store down to the showroom, and then I had to have something for the mechanic side, so I went out and acquired the International Harvester dealership. So I got that, and then I had to have something for that one mechanic to work in the wintertime, so I went and got a Skidoo dealership. So now my mechanic was busy in the winter with the Skidoos and the summer with tractors, and the secretary was busy with the Sears store. So now I had these 4 businesses going on this one piece of ground.
Okay, can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
You're talking about you bought all these businesses just to keep one employee employed during the winter?
I just had to keep the sales, just trying to utilize the building, So so I had summer stuff and winter stuff and all year stuff. So you're just looking for ways to increase your revenue with existing property.
Okay.
And so anyway, I could go on for
That's
hours.
actually interesting because there's a lot of businesses that are just seasonal.
Yeah.
Like flower shops, they're busy on Valentine's Day.
Yep.
And I can't even know what other days.
But and so I was just trained by my dad, and then with this formula in mind, to be looking for opportunities. And every time I saw a piece of property, I could tell you story after story, and I won't have time to do all that, but just like, for instance, there was a trailer park across the street that the guy knew I lived close to it, and he came and said, would you like to buy my trailer park? I said I couldn't possibly buy it. I have no cash that I could buy it with. He said, well, be creative. And so I went home that night and thought about it, went back to him, and it only had 6 trailers in the whole trailer park. It was built for 100, and he just getting it built, wasn't even blacktop yet. And I said to him, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you 80% of the gross revenue on that trailer park. I'll buy it for $150,000, whatever the number was, but nothing down, and I'll give you 80% of my revenue. As I increase the number of units, I'll increase the revenue you're going to get. Okay. So you get, and so eventually.
So wait a second. So you had no cash down.
Nothing down.
You walked into it.
I had to pay him $60 times 6 units, 380% of $360. So I walked in with the first month's down payment of $200 for a $200,000 trailer park, whatever it was.
That is creative.
It was really
creative.
And
but you did have to give up 80% of your revenue.
Which was happy to do that because I still had 20% for operation. So I gave him that, and then finally we had it filled up. We filled it up, and we had a KOA campground was with it, and we had 100 trailers in it. We expanded to 125, and we we now have it going, Jesse, and 3 or 4 years down the road, I sold that trailer park with a nice big profit, and then paid him off and pocketed the rest. So I made $250,000 on that with nothing down. I mean, nothing down, and just filling it up. And we did that over and over again. We went and did it. We took an old American Oil service station that had closed up, and I went and got a tire guy, the David Early Tires, that was a big gun in Salt Lake at the time, and talked him into coming with me, and we went up and put a tire store in this old trailer. Bought the building, put $2,000 down a piece on this $45,000 building, and then we put a tire store in it. We leased it out to a guy to run it. He paid us a gross lease. We paid off the building without any more money in it. The lease paid it off. We refinanced, bought some land to build apartments on it. Used the apartment to build. Used the land now to build apartments on it. Eventually, we sold those apartments, and big old tire store, and we made $500,000 apiece on that. And this is back in the 70s.
I mean, $500,000 is worth a lot more than it is now.
With $2,000 invested in it.
$2,000. This is actually unbelievable. This is incredible. There's a skill set that you are having, you're using that most people obviously don't have. And what's interesting is you were involved in, first a feed mill, then a Sears catalog, then a dealership, then a ski-doo, and you went on and on. You got into real estate and
you have 3 motels, 2 restaurants, scores of subdivisions, little ones.
A tire store.
Apartment buildings, rental property in Moab, Utah, built a big hotel in St. George that just got torn down last week. We just whenever Rexburg, we had a bunch of apartments, took them on trade. We just had a lot of good stuff. It was all just looking at a piece of property and saying, what could you do with that? If you had it, what would you do with it? And then finding a way to finance it, creatively, with little or nothing down, and then turn that profit into doing the next one.
Wow.
And it worked. And then at 35, we retired and put 26 of them. Went to California for a 9-month period that turned into 11 years. We were gone doing church stuff. And then came back and worked with Franklin. Met a guy in California named Hiram Smith who liked what we had done, and he was an entrepreneurial guy, and went home and started the Franklin International Institute and Franklin Quest. Invited me to come and help build it. We come out of retirement to do that after being a stake president, mission president in Virginia. We then come back to Salt Lake and spent the next 5 years. Went public in '92, and in 1994 was $1 billion company. Everybody in that company that was involved at that time became millionaires, mostly because Hiram Smith and his buddies gave away more stock options, and the abundant mentality was big, and they gave away options to people, me included, and we all made a lot of money in that because we were able to see a little idea that Hiram and a few others had, and we helped him make it dream big, and it became a big deal. Today it's the company, the Franklin Covey Company. We only did that for 5 years too, retired again, and then went to New Zealand on a mission, and then we went to Africa for 4 years, and then we went to Hawaii for 3 years at BYU, and then we went to BC for another year.
And that's you fulfilling your that's you fulfilling your formula. Yep. At the very end, give back.
And let me share why that's so important. This is the best part of this whole tape. Will be that you will. When we decided to go to California to take our kids on this mini mission, there's 7 children at the time, I went to see David B. Haight, who had been my mission president, said, should we do this? And because I was served at the time as a bishop, I was a Chamber of Commerce president, as a Rotary Club, had these 26 businesses from Arizona to Rexburg. And he said, do you remember the formula? And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, did you really get it? And he stood up and put his hands on my shoulder, looked me right in the eye, and he said, you know what? He said, and this is why this formula is so important, and why we've been sharing it. He said, I just want you to know that if you do what I told you to do, if you get out of bed early and go to work hard, and get your education, read the right books, find your oil, and make your mark. He said, it's almost impossible to live those 5 steps and not to be financially and temporally successful. He said, you'd have to work hard not to be. But he said, what will happen to you if you do those 5 things, you will probably be destroyed by your own success, because you'll start to believe that you are somebody, that you're better than somebody.
You're saying if you do those 5 versus if you do those 6.
Those first 5, if you do just those alone, they'll probably destroy you with your own success, because you'll begin to believe that you're somebody special, and pride will destroy you. But if you'll remember what I told you on that boat, if you do all of those things with the intent to give back and build the kingdom and help others, he said, then that success, your motivation to do what you did will keep you humble enough that you won't be destroyed by your own success. That was the key to my success, because we really did discover that there's a lot of fun in acquiring stuff, in making your mark, but there's a lot more fun in helping other people acquire it and give back and be successful. That's what those missions did for us. Was we had an opportunity to share that formula with anybody that would listen. And there've been tens of thousands of them now, because it works. It really is.
I'm in love with it. I'm in love with it. So you're basically saying, starting out in a situation like the one I'm in, the one that my fellow students are in, like anyone that might be watching, when you start out, you need to have that end goal in mind. That the goal of me acquiring all this stuff is not for the sake of acquiring it, rather to give back.
We've been sent down to an earth to be successful, and if you, especially in America, it's really easy to be successful if you want to be, if you really put the formula to work. But at the same time, the growth comes and the joy comes from helping others do it, and that's the key to your success. That's the key to keeping your feet on the ground, to not believe your own press, and to start realizing that's the joy.
Wow.
But you got to have something to give back, so you got to go out and make your mark as well, some way. Otherwise, you got no, your time, talents, and your treasure, the 3 T's that you've got to give back, all of which, and you don't have to go to Africa to do it. You don't have to go to New Zealand to do it. You can do it right here, anywhere. You just an attitude of helping others be successful is the key to your success.
Wow. Well, that is a great attitude. How, for someone that may not feel that way, how would you recommend they develop that attitude?
Watch those people that they admire and respect, and they'll find out that those who they really do respect and admire are people that are some way, in their own way, living that formula. They're all trying to become somebody themselves, make the most of life, but they're also finding the joy of helping others. And when you see that in action, you all of a sudden one day it'll dawn on you, just like it did on the Mormon boy in Mormon 1 and 2, that be quick to observe that. And when you do, the quicker you get it, the quicker you're going to be happy, and the quicker you're going to feel satisfied about what you're doing here. You're going to have adversities and troubles and trials and failures and mistakes. I mean, we all do that. The more we work hard on this stuff, the more often we're going to fail as well. But you pick yourself up and you go back to work and you go do it. It's just. Have I got time for one more story, real quickly? Don't.
Yeah, we'll give you another story.
Okay,
in fact, I do have a couple more questions I do want to ask you.
Let me just share this story with that. I learned more by watching my dad do one thing. We had 2 big fires, there'd be $1 million fires today, and both of them were devastating. No insurance, and the second one was on our hatchery, our main source of livelihood. And it was the middle of the night fire, and my dad was up on the roof of our little motel with the fire department people helping put out, try to save the motel, and they got that. They finally saved it. We walked in the house. He came in the house. My mother and my brother and I are basically in tears. We're in our teens, and we're saying all is over. Life is gone. We're bankrupt, basically, and so on. No insurance and nothing. And my dad walked in, and he and I'll say it here. I can pardon the French, but he just said, "My hell," he said, "aren't we ever going to have breakfast around here?" And we sat down and had breakfast, and he got up out of the breakfast morning, went out and got on this old tractor we had, started cleaning up the fire. Never said a word about it, never cried, never moaned, never bemoaned, or we're all lost. I learned more from watching him do that about how you handle adversity. This one.
So according to the story, he had this huge shop. He had made his millions. He had this big old shop. He was always constantly inventing things, and a fire broke out and destroyed everything he was working on at the time. And kind of like your father did, he had a positive attitude about it. He said, "Go get your mother. You'll never see a fire like this in your life."
Yeah, great story.
What a great way to look at it.
Great story.
Man. Okay, so we are going to run a little bit short on time, but I do want to run a couple questions across you. Now, you've been involved in all these different varieties of businesses. Do you know how to change a tire? Do you know how to clean an apartment? Things like this? I'm talking about actually doing the work. I don't believe for a second that that's where your main skill set lies. Where is the skill set in being able to manage so many different businesses?
If you want to be successful in life, besides the formula, develop your people skills, develop your passion, and identify a purpose. find it. You know, I have changed the tire. I don't like to do that. I like to hire somebody to do that for me. And I've cleaned a few apartments in life, but my wife probably thinks I've never done it. But again, I really, people skills, passion, and purpose. Those three things. If you can get that going, you'll go out, and that drive will get you. But to have passion, you gotta identify once again that skill set, something you're good at, something you do. And my job, my success formula came from being able to, once again, to help to get other people to believe in me enough that they would help me financially, maybe get it done. Never dump on them. We always believed in making sure that our partners got their money back first, so that before we took any money out, so that they want to play with us again on another deal. And that formula's worked. And so we've been able to grow up and move up a little bit in life because we took care of our friends and we tried to take care of them financially. And we tried to identify good causes, and then we tried to have passion for it and develop your ability to talk to people and have skill sets of people skills. You learn that in the mission field most of the time.
You do learn a lot about that in the mission field. Wow. Okay, so people skills is a big one. And being able to manage. How do you, this I guess this goes right along with people skills, how do you delegate work like that? If I'm going to start a car dealership, I know I need to get capital, and I know I need to get the right people involved. What is your process for getting the right people involved?
Well, then that's a great point, because you got to go get the right people. You got to have
you can't just hire anyone.
You got to have the right partners, the right people involved, and that there's some trial and error in that. But again, observing, watching how they operate and everything else in life. You know, we've had the beauty of being able to have some of the finest people come and work with our family. Growing up, we had the old McDonald's and the Theo Daybells and people of that kind that were just super people to work with because they were really good to us, and we tried to be good to them, and as a consequence. But again, watching people and observing people and realizing how important some key people are to your success, because it's not a one deal, it's a team. You got to build a team. If you have a team, you can make about anything work if they're good at it and they have the right motivation, right passion.
One thing I've heard of from previous they haven't been interviews, but they've been people I've talked to that have been rather successful in life. They say your job as in starting a business is to make everyone else a star, and you're just on the back end. Nobody should even know your name.
That is great counsel. That is great counsel. If you can make your people you work with and around, and you learn that in the church as well. You know, I mean. You do that by giving praise and by giving compliments and by letting others take the credit for things, and you do that often enough, and people want to be around you. They want to work with you, and they do become stars. They become stars because they live the formula themselves. Everybody's got the ability to become like God. I mean, that's the whole plan of life, and so they got to live in an atmosphere where they get a chance to do that, and where other people help them do that and inspire them to do that. At Franklin, we used to teach, whenever you train, you got to educate, you got to entertain or edify, and then you got to empower. If you don't empower the people, and the Franklin Covey program at the time we were there, 6 million people got empowered because they learned how to organize their life and write a plan and identify their values.
Did you say 6 million?
6 million people were trained. It was almost like a cult because they discovered how to maximize their potential, identify the values, and what do I do, what goals do I need to have to reach those values and become that principle.
Wow.
And that was fun to have a company that was teaching that kind of stuff, and then had a tool. At that time, a day planner was the tool, and that was the tool to help them take charge of their life. And when they take charge, they feel empowered.
Wow.
When you're empowered, you go do things successfully.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, knowledge is power. Training is great. I just want to describe to anyone that's watching that doesn't know what Franklin Covey is. From what I understand, it is a business consulting firm.
It's evolved to what it is today. I'm out since '94, so 22 years ago I left. but it was a great ride then, and they're still doing great things today. Hiram Smith was the one that really started that, and he created a great machine, and he did it with an abundant mentality. Everybody did get the credit around him. He was really good at doing that and giving other people the credit. So it's fun to be able to work with people like that.
It'd be fun to talk to him too.
Would be.
And well, we are running out of time, but before we go, I do want to know a little bit about what current projects you have going on.
Well, I mean, in my case, I'm still working closely with it. We put this program into a program we call Launching Leaders, and we've now put it on the internet format. It's going international. It's being interfaith. It's being taught in England today. It's being taught in New Zealand. It's being taught in Africa. It's being looked at. Several other organizations, large, Christian-based organizations, are very anxious to. So that's where my real passion is right now, is to share this story
in Launching Leaders,
in Launching Leaders, and do it in a way that is not just the Mormon version of it, but it really is teaching the correct principles that anybody that really wants to grow in life can learn from. You don't have to be any particular religion to want to grow by it. So that's where our passion is right now.
That's true, and I can agree with that. It doesn't matter where you're from or what religion you are. There is a formula for just about everything.
Yep.
And if that formula is followed correctly, you can guarantee success. And I love the fact that you're able to promise something like that. And I guess that's a big reason why it is spreading all over the globe.
Fun stuff.
Where can we, I'll definitely post a link to Launching Leaders. Is it free to access for anyone that wants to access? Or do you have to be involved?
Yeah, the website is, I think it's Worldwide LL, Worldwide Launching Leaders. Worldwide LL is the website. And they ought to go on to look at it. It's a great, they can sign up and see a lot of free stuff on there. So
great. So what we'll do, as soon as this video is off of live, I'll go ahead and we'll post links to those, to the Launching Leaders.
Good.
And we'll also list out the 6-step formula.
Okay.
Right on there, so people can get it right there, because it's quite a few steps to keep track of during a conversation like this, but they're really valuable stuff.
Fun stuff.
Man, James, thanks so much for your time. This has been a fantastic interview.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.